What questions or problems are you working to solve?
Thank you for having me back, Rola. It's really good to talk to you and hopefully share some of my experiences with your audience. So the challenge I'm working in is how can we support both national and international research and innovation with health data. I work within the National Health Service here in the UK, and we have a precious resource within the care data that's generated through supporting people at really sensitive moments in their life, often quite vulnerable times. But that data not only has impact for them in terms of how they're treated, what decisions we make around diagnosis, but also huge potential for research and innovation. And I'm fortunate to be able to think through how do we use data for that repurpose, how do we do that in a way that is trustworthy, that people and public feel confident in how it's used, but also that we are allowing for and enabling research and innovation to happen for the unmet needs we know we're going to be facing during the 21st century. The challenges at the moment for uses of health data for research and innovation in the UK has been balancing the needs of the public and patients to feel that we're using data in a transparent, trustworthy way, whilst also optimizing the availability of that data. So how do you make lots of it available, but in a way that public and the patients are confident in the way we're doing that? And a series of recommendations we made around that is the development of what is known within our community as either secure data environments or trusted research environments. And these are technical but also operational environments to make data discoverable and usable for researchers and innovators, but also, sorry about that alarm in the background, but to also make it much more easy for us to communicate with the public about how data has been used, who did what was the impact of using that data, to make it a much more open and transparent conversation about the work we're doing. So that's a real shift in terms of the model that has existed for us in the UK around making data available by sharing it, and then how we shift that to being a model of access and bringing people to the data to work on that data. And there's a challenge again that the UK doesn't sit in isolation, so how do we do that across borders and at scale globally? So working through how do we link these environments and allow us to answer questions very locally or all the way up to big global problems, but again in a way that the public feel like they can understand what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Why have you chosen to pursue this question or problem?
For this audience, the role of research and innovation in life sciences is obvious in terms of the impact it plays in terms of the future of delivery of healthcare. And I think we've seen it in the past few years, so I can't help but still come back to the pandemic, but we saw the role particularly of health data during the pandemic to help drive new insights in terms of how we develop the vaccine programs, in terms of identifying through the UK-based recovery trial, the role of dexamethasone in terms of treating people with COVID. That was data-enabled and data-driven innovation. And so how do we scale and support more of that is really what motivates me. It's taking really interesting, insightful observations from blue skies research all the way through large-scale trials and thinking through how do we get those great ideas into impact for patients and the public. Many years ago, when I was thinking about where my career was going to go, I thought I wanted to be a medic. I thought being a doctor, I loved science, I loved academic research. I think when we talked before, I talked about the idea of the why of things. And that really continued to be the thing about why is this happening? What can we be doing about it and driving more insights? And that's been a thread, I think, through my career. And particularly through the space of health data, I think we're all touched in our individual personal lives through the role that illness and health plays. I'm fortunate that my mother survived a breast cancer journey. I've been a mum and been through the healthcare system. There are a range of touchstones that we all have, and being able to play an active role in supporting what those treatments and interventions and diagnoses might be, not as a researcher, but as an enabler of that research, I find really motivating in terms of why I chose and why I'm choosing to work in the field of healthcare and health data research and innovation.
As individuals and collectively as a society, what can we do to help answer the questions or solve these problems?
On this a lot in the UK in terms of how do you take what is the known problem if we need to find more answers more quickly for more things and help people be well, not unwell. And that takes a diversity of skills and different types of approaches. So I think there's a role for any type of individual that they want to get engaged in. We make the comparison sometimes to the role of multidisciplinary teams, which is a term we use for clinical decision making, but how do we do that for health data research and innovation? So whether you are a technologist, a data scientist, a nurse, a clinician, whether you are a project manager, whether you are interested in comms and public engagement and involvement, there is a role for you in delivering this impact. And I'm really proud of the work we do in terms of advocating and balancing public and patient needs, the NHS systems needs, and researchers and innovators needs, and how can we come together collectively to add value and collaborate. So there's a sort of piece of different perspectives are critical to the work we do, and therefore there is a seat at the table for everybody in terms of how do we design impact infrastructure solutions that will drive the patient impact that we're all looking for. If there was a specific call to arms for specific groups in the audience, I think there's something about advocating for diversity, inclusivity, and a representation of different views. So we're really keen that through all the work we do, and there's a lot of evidence to support this, that you need diversity in stakeholders, and that's across socioeconomic backgrounds, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, you name it. We need to be better and more reflective of the patients and the public we want to serve with health data by bringing those people to the table. So advocate and represent for you, but also think about the role that plays in terms of ensuring that the solutions and the innovation that happens doesn't just meet the needs of old white men. Let's do things and create solutions that have impact for the communities that really need them. So if people feel like they're not sure if they're a fit, then I would really encourage you to get involved and engaged in the process.